Hi and welcome to another tutorial from Blender Insight, and this time I was thinking that we should do another metal floor pattern because in the last session I did one, but then I googled different type of textures and I think this was the second most popular type of pattern, so why not have both of these metal floor. So let's go through this one, and it's rather simple to do, but the trick here is to see how you can make it simple, and that is that you see the repetition on one direction and then you use the other direction here. And normally if we do like in a tile, it's a lot of calculations and so on to get both in here, but we don't need that. We can just take one of these and make the repetition for that single one and make a node group out of it, and then just reverse the rotation and do some offset, and then we should have this pattern as well. So it should not be too difficult to do it, but let's see if I'm right. So we just add a texture coordinate, so Shift A, input, and we get the texture coordinate. And as I said, we need some offset, and that we normally do with some add. So Shift A, convert the vector math, and then I put in an add here, so we have that. I also mentioned that we should have some type of rotation sooner or later, so we can already now put in it. So Shift A, go to vector, and here we have vector rotate, and then we have that in as well. And since the UV from the beginning has, I can just take it in here so you can see, has the 0 point here, that means if I do rotation here, then it will rotate from this corner, and I would like it to rotate from the center, so then I change these two to 0.5, and the rotation will then be from the center here when I rotate stuff. So that is like a base for be able to rotate and to be able to do the offset. So the next step is to create this pattern here, and we can do that by adding, thinking this should be like a straight line, and then we do some rotation, and then it's just what we could say a narrow circle. So we just squeeze the circle into this pattern, so to say. And to make that happen, we first of all so we get this 0 point to the center by adding a subtract and a multiply. So we do a subtract here and put in 0.5, and then we do a multiply and put that to 2. And if you saw my last session, this is really very similar to that session, so it will almost look like the last pattern but have some additional math in, or some other math. So when I have this, then I can do an absolute to get it in the center here, and then I will reverse that with a subtract. So Shift D, and then put in a subtract and put 1 in the top here, and this is almost the same as the last session. So now I do separate XYZ, and the thing now is more to put these things together, and you can use a power here as well. So Shift A, go to converter, math, and put in a power. So let's see if we have it here, and you can also do that on the second one. So we have these two, and we can multiply them. So Shift D, multiply, put that in here and that in here, show what we have right now. So now we have this. Then we can change the values here, and you can see if I change the values in a direction, they shrink. So it could be like this, so 0.5, 0.5 here, like 6 here, and then we get something like this, but it's hard to see right now. And then we do this smooth minimum. So Shift A, convert the math, put it in smooth minimum, and here we can then play with the values and the distance. And you can see you get this pattern now, but it's not rotated. So then you can play with it until you find the exact match that you would like to have. And right now you can see it's also flat on the top, and doing something flat is by filtering away some of the values, and the best way to do that is just to add a map range. So I press Shift A and then I go to converter and a map range, and if I now change this from max here, you can see we get this flat pattern in the center. So here we can play with all these numbers. We can also take it up or we can take it down, but normally you do the change here with the smooth minimum for getting the distance and the shape and so on, and then you just flatten everything with the from max, exactly the same way we do when we do like normal tile, for instance. So it's up to us to play with this to get it correct, and we can also play with the values on the power. So we have a lot of flexibility in the values here. I can just adjust it until we think it fits good here. So then we have that, and all we have to do really is put in like 45 degrees and you get this on this part here. But we also need to put in some scale so we can do some repetition. So we can just move this part. Let's see, we take this part here and put in a scale like this, and then we put in a fraction to split it up. So let's see, we have a fraction here, and if I now put 2 here, you see you get 2 here. And the only thing we need to do now is to make something between here. So we have that, and now we should have something here and here and here as well. To make that, we just do a node group out of everything. So everything after the texture coordinate and before the principal, you select. So just select everything like this and press Ctrl G to make a node group out of it. And then we need to reach some stuff like the scale. So we just drag the scale here and also the offset. And to make that more easy, we can add a combine. So Shift A, converter, and combine XYZ, put that in, and then we just drag X and Y and just change it in the group here. So we select group, double click on X, and can call it X offset, like that. And then we can do a Y offset as well. So Y offset, and to be clear here, we can have a big X. So now everything is fine here. So we have F. See if we can get it to be similar. Now, yes, now they are similar. X offset, Y offset. So we control offset and we can control the scale. So that should be enough. Then we can play with these numbers if everything looks a bit wrong later on, but this is a good start. So now we select the group input, just press tab, so we have it in. And all we have to do now is more or less to, we need a rotation, of course. So I go back here, press tab again, and rotation is also vital, so we drag it out. So now we have everything, so we have the rotation. And we copy this one, Shift D, and take the UV to this, and now we should be able to change the scale. So we put the scale here, so Shift A, input value, we can put in 4 or something, so we have that. And then we need to do the offset, and I've shown that before when we connect two different, that we often do just division. So 0.5 divided by the scale will then give us the correct offset. So Shift A, converter, math, change this to divide, we put this in the bottom, and we can use maximum to these node groups here. So just Shift A, converter, math, put that in here, that here, and make this a maximum value. So now we can put in the scale here and the scale here, so they have that. And the first one don't need any offset, but the second one does. So we can then take this here, and you can see we get more here, and we can then take this to Y offset, and now we get this line here, but that is only because we don't have the angle correct. So if we put that to a negative 45 degrees, then we change it and we get this pattern here. So it's not that hard. And now we just need to add some bump to it. So we can press Shift A, vector bump, put that, and then we drag down the strength and the distance a bit, put that to the normal, and then we take down the roughness a bit, have a lot of metallic in, and also we need some better color, so we can add a color ramp here. So Shift A, converter, color ramp, put that in, change it to like bright like this, perhaps some bluish tint on it, so we have something like that. And we can do the same here, some bluish tint. So doesn't matter. Yeah, so we have something. So now we have something that looks like this, and if we want to have it more round or have it shorter, as I said before, it's just to go in and play a little bit with these values that I have in the end here. So here you can make it like bigger and round, and also smaller or bigger, and of course you can then play with this to get it really round. So it's just to adapt until you feel it's okay. And if you want it softer or like a bigger edge, then you just increase the from max, and then it erases here. So then you have all the parameters you need, and of course you can, if you want to, drag these out to the group input to play with everything and make a really good final node group out of everything here. But this is how you do it. So now you have this in, and yeah, that's all there is to it. So hopefully you learned something today as well, and I do as usual say see you later and bye for now.